The North Carolina High School Athletic Association basketball championships are coming back to Winston-Salem March 14th and 15th at the Joel Coliseum. And our tour around the bold North State and the finest basketball minds in North Carolina continues now with the head coach of the Reidsville Rams. They're the #1 seed in the 2A West. And joining us is their head coach, Jason Ross. And Coach, congratulations on that big opening round 73-19 win over Brevard. The Rams were certainly hitting on all cylinders last night.
We were. My guys, they were focused. We had a very good practice the day before, even though it was sort of a walkthrough practice. We had a great practice as far as game preparation and intensity. We did a lot of talking about where we were, what we've become, and where we're trying to get to. And I think all of that carried over to game day on last night.
When you look at this team, obviously we're going to talk about some of the individuals that make up the Reidsville Rams a little bit later. But when you look at this team, when was it that you said, man, this year, this group can again contend for a state championship? Was that pretty much from Jump Street?
I pretty much came out of the summer 24, knowing that we had a good chance to compete for a championship. We played during summer ball. I think we played the defending state champ from West Virginia, the 6A state champ out of the state of Virginia, and we took some lumps. We lost a couple of 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 summer league games this year, but we got better during the process. And as I tell my guys all the time, you win championships in June. They just give you the trophies in February and March. So I knew coming out of the summer, we had a good chance to try to get back to Winston-Salem. We've really been clicking the last 8 to 10 games. I think we've put a running clock on our last 10 opponents. And that's not by luck. I mean, they've really locked in on the defensive end, and I'm just proud of my guys and where we are right now.
Well, let's talk about some of those stats because they are truly amazing. The victory in the first round of this year's NCHSAA tournament was your 25th straight at home dating back to last season, and your record now is 26-0 on this campaign. You've dominated over that stretch as well. That defense coming through here, Coach. That offense is pretty good too. 34.9 points per game is your average margin of victory. And you also have been sweeping your opponents off the floor, winning 21 matchups by 20 points or more. A guy like you as a basketball coach who's also an attorney, this must be like winning a decision in the Supreme Court.
I tell you, it's been great. My guys, we've been seeing a lot of zones on the defensive end because it's hard for a lot of teams to match up with the personnel we have. So we've really focused on turning our defense into offense to get out in transition. We haven't been able to run a whole lot of half-court sets because of these zone matchups we're getting, but our defense, it's been locked in. I just can't overestimate or underestimate what our guys have done as far as communication, rotation, matchups, rebounding. I'm just super proud of the defense. I know the offense, wins a lot of games, but defense travels, and our defense has been traveling for the last 6 months.
And for the last 2 years heading into this season, the Rams had been at or near the top of North Carolina 2A basketball. You were the runners-up in 2023. You won the state championship a year ago, and you have a core group of guys led by Deontay Neal, Johnny Sharp, Kendre Harrison, and Cameron Jones. This has to be the Fab Four of North Carolina because they are getting it done. I don't know if there's ever been a foursome that has been as dominant in North Carolina high school basketball history.
The thing that I love about that four guys you just talked about is, as you can see on the court, they gel together, but off the court, they're like brothers.
Right.
And they just gel well together. They each have a certain skill set that they bring to the game. And when you add in Christian Scales, who we moved into the lineup this year, our 6'8" wing, who's making jump shots, we're pretty tough to beat. We're probably one of the biggest teams in 2A as far as size. Kendre 6'7", 6'8", Christian 6'8", Janias and Cam are 6'3", and Deontay's bringing up the rear at 5'9". But we're pretty big, and Deontay makes up for his lack of height in effort and determination. So, those four guys adding Christian, it's been a dominant group over the last 2 or 3 years. But as Kendre said before we played Brevard, we're 0-0 right now. So we just got to win one game at a time. That's what we're focused on.
Got like that maturity out of the junior. We'll talk about him in a second. But the one thing that is very impressive as well about this group of guys that are on your Reidsville Rams basketball team, number one in the state, 26-0 on the season, is that they're not just focusing on basketball. Sure, they play summer league, but some of these guys are out there on the gridiron too. How does that two sport combination work to your advantage?
It brings us toughness. All of my guys are tough, and that comes from playing football, basketball. Christian plays baseball, and it brings that camaraderie and that togetherness that they're used to each other. Deontay, he moved to quarterback this year after our captain Ali graduated last year. So they believe in Deontay as our point guard, as our quarterback, and it all just come together. They were all high major recruits in basketball and football. Some are going the football route at the next level. Some are going basketball. And Christian actually has a baseball scholarship to Norfolk State, a D1 school up in the Tidewater area. So I'm just super proud. That's what I'm proud of the most, that all of my guys are getting or have gotten a full ride to a D1 school, D2 school, and their parents are going to be able to send them to college for free. That trumps winning any type of championship.
Oh, it absolutely does. And when you look at the makeup of this year's team, you had to be a little bit disappointed in the late summer when it was announced that Kendre Harrison was going to transfer to a private school in Charlotte, but he came back to Reidsville. And I have to think that a big reason for him wanting to come back had to be that close-knit bond that you're talking about with his teammates.
When Kendre called me back in the summer, and it wasn't a surprise to me that he may transfer to Charlotte, to a school in Charlotte. He and I talked about it over the summer. He wanted my advice on what he should do, and I told him then, and I told him when he came back, it's never a bridge too far. Sometimes as a young man, young adult, you have to make decisions to see what's out there. He went there, but the good thing about that, when he went, we never lost contact. We talked every week, talked about life, talked about sports. Just want to know how he was doing, how was school going, things of that nature. But when he said, I woke up one morning, I had a text. It was from Kendre that just simply said, "I'm coming back," and of course, I was ecstatic. Kendre is a difference maker, and to have him back in Reidsville with us in our program is an absolute joy. It's a blessing, and I'm just happy right now that Kendre is happy as a young student athlete. I don't think he was happy in Charlotte at Providence Day, but now that he's back in Reidsville, he seems to be happy. He was having a few health issues at the beginning of the season. His mother got that under control, so he's 100% healthy now, mentally and physically, and he's locked in for another championship run at this point.
We were talking earlier about the way that your team wins games in Reidsville, winning 21 matchups out of your 26 wins this year by 20 or more points. I've asked a lot of the coaches as we've been taking this tour around the Bold North State. Was there a defining moment, a close call, or something like that during this season that helped define who your team is heading into the postseason? For you, I have to maybe amend that a little bit. If you weren't getting that competition from your opponents, how are your practices? They always say the dream team had these great practices, some of the best basketball that perhaps had ever been played. But where has your team gotten that inner fire and that challenge from within?
Our practices are one in a million because when you have a lot of alpha males in the gym, the competition is strong, and we try to end practice sometime with a one-on-one, and sometimes you have to blow the whistle so it's over because I don't want it to turn into something it shouldn't turn into because everybody wants to win. But I can tell you, we played the John Wall Holiday Invitational this in December, and the private school 2A champs Caldwell Academy. We played them in the second round, I believe, and they jumped up on us. They were up on us maybe 18-2, maybe. And I thought to myself, win or lose, this is exactly what we need.
Mhm.
We needed this. We needed this right now because it's going to teach me. It's going to teach them who we are as a team. And they fought back. They battled back, and they walked them down. Got it down to maybe three or four before half. And we wind up winning it by double digits. But that was a good test for us. They have Caldwell Academy. They're uh, state champs, Division II private school, and they have some outstanding college level players, Cole Clower, and to be able to beat them and come back from that deficit showed me that what our team was about.
Coach Jason Ross from the Reidsville Rams with us here on the North Carolina Sports Network. Your Rams won the title last year. That was in Winston-Salem. And now it's a big deal here in the state of North Carolina to make it to the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Championship weekend because all of the Final Fours are played at the Joel Coliseum. What does that kind of basketball environment translate to for the competitors and for the fans?
I'll tell you, the Final Four, the regional championships, and the state championship games, they were unbelievable last year. I mean, I believe at our game they had to open up the higher bowl because I believe North Meck played right after we did. It was 8, 9,000 people there in the lower bowl, so they had to open up the higher bowl. And for the kids to have the opportunity to play in that environment on that stage was incredible. And I'm just so thankful that the High School Athletic Association chose Lawrence Joel Coliseum and moved it there because it's a once in a lifetime dream event for these kids, and to be able to play there and win a championship there or compete for a championship there was remarkable. I mean, the atmosphere, just when my kids walked in to locker rooms, looking around, they were taking pictures. It was just they felt like they had earned the right to be there, and it gives you that extra incentive because everybody wants to be in the Final Four now.
Coach Jason Ross of the Reidsville Rams, I have to ask you, we say coach, but you're also an attorney. You came to North Carolina from Washington, D.C. when you went to college at Johnson C. Smith in the Queen City, and you went to law school at North Carolina Central. What's an attorney with so much going for him in terms of that type of talent doing coaching basketball?
My wife asked me the same question every day. My son, played basketball at Guilford College, and we started an AAU team here in Reidsville called the Reidsville Wizards when he and his peers were in maybe the seventh or eighth grade. And I started coaching middle school ball at the middle school level when he was in the seventh, eighth grade, and just transitioned over to high school. I had the blessing to coach under Coach Curtis Pass, our former coach who passed away unfortunately several years ago. And I was his assistant at the high school level. When he passed away, I kind of transitioned into that role, and I've been there ever since.
Reidsville is a title town. You do it in football, you do it in basketball. But and this might have been a good lesson for your football basketball combo guys to learn. Sometimes the favorite loses, and Reidsville's football team fell early in the state playoffs. Was that a defining moment and a teaching opportunity for you and the other coaches to say, hey, you don't want this to happen again because you want to bring that title in a back-to-back format back to the Rams faithful, I would imagine?
We would, and the my guys lost to East Rutherford second round of the playoffs. I believe we were number one seed,
Mhm.
and that was a humbling experience for them. And I think that has transitioned a little bit over to the basketball court. Going into last night's game, we talked about that loss, how it made them feel in their stomachs, and they're locked in now. They understand that basketball is a win or go home situation, and in basketball, the best team doesn't always win. And so they have to lock in, focus in, and that humbling experience I think is going to help us as we get closer because they understand what that felt like and they don't want to feel that again.
That is Jason Ross. He's the head coach of the number one seed in the 2A West, the Reidsville Rams. And they are targeting to get, and they are looking to get back to the Joel Coliseum March 14th and 15th for the NCHSAA State Championship weekend. Coach Ross, good luck to you and the Rams on the road to Winston-Salem. We look forward to talking to you again here on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do for high school basketball here in North Carolina.